Hello, welcome to your first lesson at the online jewelry design CAD school. So you should already have access to a detailed video tutorial on how to download, install and activate Jewelry Cad Dream LITE. There are two videos available, one for Windows 7, one for Windows 8. The process is slightly different for these two Windows platforms. So here I'm using Windows 7. Okay, so I'm going to open JCD LITE for the first time. We come up to the icon and double left click or right click open. This is our initial startup screen. We have our licensing information. Left click on OK to continue. And our software will open up into this initial screen. Okay, we have a background image and a few menus and icons up here. So we call this area here the ribbon, and we have ribbon tabs, and our ribbon tabs each have a ribbon panel. And within our ribbon panels we have icons, and these icons are our commands or operations. Okay, above this, these small icons here, this is called our quick access toolbar, and this will give us quick access to frequently used commands such as the save, undo and redo. And we can add and remove icons from this quick access toolbar. To the right we have this blue arrow, which if we left click will open up our drop down menus. And we can hide it again by clicking the blue arrow. Okay, in the top right hand corner we have a couple of things. We have this arrow here, which we can use to minimize and hide the ribbon, and then left click it again to open up the ribbon again. Next to this we have a small cog icon. This opens up our configuration panel, and this is where we can make changes to the settings of our software, and we'll be looking at this later on during this lesson. Up here we also have a help icon, this little question mark. If we click on this icon here, we have access to some help options. So CW3D is a piece of CAD CAM modeling software, and JCD LITE is built on top of this engine. So in this help panel we have help available for us with regards to ZW3D. Okay, so we have show and tell tutorials, and we have some PDF manuals. Okay, you can also have access to these in our quick primer ribbon and in the help drop down menu. So let's quickly look at a show and tell. Left click the icon. Okay, and you can click through these show and tells, and they will provide you with additional instructions on how to use ZW3D. Likewise, we have some PDFs that can also be of use when learning this software. Okay, it's not required that you look through these, but I do recommend it. You may find them useful. So we also have the ability to customize our ribbons and toolbars by right clicking anywhere in this vacant ribbon panel space. So right click on the mouse and we will have a few options. We can change the appearance of our ribbon. We can make the icons smaller, larger. We can deactivate certain tabs. We can activate toolbars. We can change the style of our user interface. And finally, we have some more detailed customization options. Again, we'll take a look at this within this lesson. For now, I will close this. Okay, so let's take a quick look at our ribbon tabs. In JCD configuration, we just have the reset config icon. Okay, and this allows us to reset the settings that we may have changed within our software through the configuration panel or our customization panel. Okay, in the Jewelry Counter Design Studio tab, we have access to a library of pre-made designs, templates, all of which are fully customizable. Okay, and then we go into the Quick Primer tab, where we have several commands available, and we're going to start off by using the new command. We're going to create a new file. So left click on this new command icon, and a create new file box pops up. In here we can choose the type of file we want to create. For the most part we will be dealing with parts/assembly. I will leave the rest of these for now, and their purpose will become clear as we move on through this course. So with parts/assembly selected, we then see our template options. Okay, these are the JCD templates, and they can help with our design process. Now do not use this default template. Okay, if you do, this will not give you access to the JCD LITE tools. So when we want to start with a blank template, a blank file with nothing in there, we navigate down to the generic template. Okay, this gives us a blank environment to work from, and that's what we're going to use here. So left click, and now we can name our file. Okay, so when naming a file, you cannot exceed 28 characters, and it is important that you do not use any meta characters, such as these. Okay, you can use the underscore, and you can use a space. So I'm going to name this file. We then have the ability to add a description to our file. This is not required. Okay, in this case I'm going to leave it blank. Then we left click OK to create our file. Okay, and then we are taken into our modeling environment. So this interface is different from before in that it is far more extensive. You'll see that we still have our ribbon with our ribbon tabs, each of which has their own ribbon panel, and the ribbon panels are made up of these commands or operations. Okay, we still have our quick access toolbar. We have a more extensive drop down menu. We have our configuration panel icon and our help icon. Okay, so if at any point we do not know what a command or operation does, we can move our cursor over it and let it hover there. This will then open up a small tip box about that command, and then we can press F1 on the keyboard to bring up more detailed instructions and help guides for that command or operation. And this is very useful to refer to when we do not understand a command. Okay, we can escape this. Okay, before I continue, I'm just going to show you how to clean up our user interface to get rid of some of the commands or toolbars that we will not be using frequently. In this case, I want to get rid of this toolbar here. I will only be using a few of the commands from here, these ones. So what I want to do is transfer these commands, these icons, into this toolbar here. This is called the Document Aware toolbar. So I do this by making use of my Customization tab, and we access that by right-clicking anywhere in this vacant ribbon space and navigating to the Customize icon. Left click. Okay, so this might look a bit intimidating at this point, but things should make sense as we progress, and I'm going to show you how to transfer our icons from this toolbar to our document aware toolbar. I'd recommend you make the same changes because it can clean up our space and get rid of unnecessary icons. Okay, so we'll come into the transfer tab. We're going to find our commands by first setting the type to all and the group to all. Okay, we're then going to navigate to our document aware toolbar within here. Here it is. We will open this up. Our document aware toolbar is the one at the top. Okay, and here you can see all of our commands that are currently in the document aware toolbar. Notice you can activate or deactivate a command using this tick box. Apply, and it disappears from our toolbar. Okay, so to add these commands to my document aware toolbar, I will search for them. So you will not understand at this point what these commands do or their names, but it should make sense as we progress. So the first one we want to add is the attributes filter. That's this one here, over here. We can then drag this either on top of our document aware toolbar, and then it will appear at the bottom, and then we can drag it to the position we would like it to appear in our document aware toolbar. So I can drag it up, and I would like it here. Click apply, and there it appears. Okay, so next I want to add this. This is called the entity filter. This one here. Now we can also drag it and drop it directly into the position we want it to take within our document aware toolbar. So let's put it next to the attribute filter, release, and we'll have the option of either below or as a child. If we select below, it will place the command below the attributes filter. If we select as a child, it will make it a child of the attributes filter, and we'll have an expand arrow like we see here. So I'm going to make it below. Apply, and there it is. So next I want to add this one, the direct editing pick. Drag it, drop, below, apply. Okay, and the final command I want to add is the step size. Again, you will not understand what these mean right now. This command is not in this toolbar, but I would like to add it anyway so that I can have easy access to it. So drag, drop it, and I like it at the end. Apply, and we can left click OK. We can now remove this toolbar from our user interface. Again, we do this by right clicking in our vacant ribbon panel space. Navigate to toolbars. This is the Pick Tools toolbar, and we click to deactivate it. And there we have freed up a bit of space. Okay, so now I'll take a quick look at our ribbon tabs up here. So like I mentioned earlier, our ribbon tabs each have their own ribbon panel, and they're all filled up with commands. Okay, so first of all we have the Shape ribbon tab. You can imagine that this deals with three-dimensional objects, shapes, okay, and we have commands relating to these. The Freeform tab, this deals with surfaces, planes, faces. Okay, and then we have a Wireframe tab. This deals with our curves and lines, and our commands relate to this. Next we have a Direct Editing tab. The commands in here allow us to make more dynamic changes and modifications to our designs. Okay, we have our assembly tab. The commands in here relate to what is known as components. Okay, and components are something I will explain shortly. We then have data exchange tab, a heal tab with commands that allow us to automatically fix our designs so that they are more appropriate for manufacture. Okay, moving on, we have a tools tab. Many of these tools we'll be using very frequently. A visualize tab. This allows us to add materials and textures to our surfaces. Okay, we can add light sources or capture images. Next we have an inquire tab. We can make inquiries within our 3D environment. Okay, now all of these tabs, these are all of those that come default with ZW3D. All of our tabs after inquire are those that are added on with JCD LITE. Okay, so all of these are our JCD LITE tools. Okay, so in the Gems and Settings tab, we have the ability to create stones, place stones. We can then set our stones using prongs, pre-made bezels, halos. Moving on, we have the Pave tab, where we can pave surfaces with stones. Okay, and there's many tools available for doing this. We then have a Design and Sketches and Ring tab with pre-made designs and sketches. We can do mill grains, and we have a Ring Wizard with commands relating to our ring. Okay, moving on, we have our Export and Rendering tab. This has commands that allow us to visualize our designs. Okay, we can place our designs on objects such as counterpads, ring boxes. Here we can also render our designs and export them as the STL file, which is the file read by 3D printers and milling machines. Moving on, we have our Tools and Cutters tab. Okay, so we have various jewelry tools available to us here, and also our cutters for our stones. Okay, finally we have our Jewelry Counter Design Studio LITE tab, which, as I mentioned earlier, gives us access to pre-made designs and templates, all of which are fully customizable. Okay, so I'll quickly again show you how we can clean up our ribbon tabs. We can disable those tabs that we will not use often. We do this again by right-clicking in this vacant space in the ribbon panel, navigate to ribbon tabs, and as you can see we already have one disabled, the app tab. Okay, we do not use this. You may also disable other tabs such as direct edit, data exchange. You will not often be using the commands within these tabs, so you may wish to disable them to clear up your user interface. Okay, but I will leave them in for now. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you within our user interface is on the left here. This is our manager panel. Okay, within our manager we can see it is divided into 4 further managers. Here we have the history manager. Secondly, we have the assembly manager. We then have the view manager, and finally the visual manager. I will not go into great detail on these now, but you will understand them more as we progress. If you happen to press this escape button in the corner of the manager panel, you will close the manager and hide it. If you want to access the manager panel again, we come down here into the bottom right hand corner of our screen and click this icon here. This is the manager icon. Okay, and we can see our manager again. Next to our manager icon is our output icon. So if we left click this, it will bring up our output panel. Okay, and the output panel gives us information about the commands we have used and if any errors have occurred whilst carrying out these commands. We can clear our output panel by left-clicking on this black square. We can also resize our panel and hide it again. Okay, so now we're going to look at the configuration panel. If you remember, that is this cog icon in the upper right hand corner of our screen. If we left click on here, our configuration panel opens up. Within here we can make many changes to the settings of our software. For example, in our general tab we could change our units into inches. We can make modifications to our part, 2D environment, color, the background of our user interface. For example, we could have a gradient background. And we have more options available. Okay, so I'll be making you aware of some of the changes we can make to these settings when the appropriate time comes. Okay, so if we look in the Files tab, we can make changes to the location that our files are saved to. Currently, my files will be saved into a folder in my documents. Let's say we would like to change this. I'm going to create a new folder on my desktop. I will navigate to my desktop using the minimize icon in the upper right hand corner. I'm then going to create a folder on my desktop where all of my designs can be saved into. Okay, so right click, new, folder, give it a name. Okay, so now I'm going to bring my software up again. Navigate into the configuration panel. And now, next to the ZW3D file folder, I'm going to click on this folder icon and navigate to the folder I just created on the desktop. Here it is. I left click on this, left click OK, and now this is where all of my files will be saved to. Left click apply. Okay, right then, so now let's try saving our file. We can save it from our drop down menu in the File, Save. Alternatively, we can use the icon in the Quick Access toolbar. Left click, we're going to left click yes, and now you can see we are by default in the folder we created on our desktop. Okay, so I can give it a name. In fact, I want to call this lesson 1. And then we left click on save. Okay, so let's have a quick recap of what we have just learnt. This is our user interface, and within our user interface we have a ribbon that is made up of ribbon tabs, each of which has its own ribbon panel, which is filled with commands, or we may refer to them as operations. We have our quick access toolbar, our drop down menu, which we can hide and reopen from here. In the upper right hand corner we have the ability to hide our ribbon. We have our configuration panel. We have our help options. We have minimizing and closing icons. Okay, on the left here we have our manager. This is made up of a history manager, assembly, view and visual. And then in the lower right hand corner we have our manager icon, our output icon, and our output panel.